G'day everyone, welcome back to the Perkins Engineering YouTube channel. This is episode number 56, and in this episode we're looking forward to having a bit more of a look at the 94 Bathurst third place car while it's up on the hoist, so we're going to get under that. But before we get into that, I've got a PE The Cars book that we made with Aaron Noonan and the V8 Sleuth team. A lot of people have asked about these over time and they did sell out quite quickly, but we've actually got a few copies left that aren't signed. So some of we did the run of these were signed and numbered, but we also did a print run for the media and testing the print process. So there's still a few left. I'll put the website address there. It's superstore.v8sleuth.com.au. So if you're still looking for one of these books, it's obviously a bit cheaper than the signed version, but these books are fantastic. Back cover there, LP with one of the Perkins engines, and yeah, a lot of information on all of our cars, some really cool photos, stuff that's never been seen before, some stories and drawings and bits and pieces. So if you're into the PE YouTube channel, you'll be right into this book if you haven't already got a copy. So jump on that website while there's still some available. There's only a few left from what Aaron and the team told me. So jump on that website, and might even make for a good birthday present or Father's Day later in the year. But without further ado, I'm going to grab the camera. We're going to jump underneath this rocket, a couple of updates on what we've been doing in the restoration and a couple of cool things to have a look at underneath the car. So let's get stuck right into it. All right, so up on the hoist, we've got P019, the 1994 Bathurst third place car. Those of you that follow Perkins Engineering really closely will notice that we're up on a hoist, and that's a sort of a new addition to the workshop. Not something Perkins Engineering's always had. But let's get stuck into it, have a bit of a look around underneath the car while it's up on the hoist, just to show you a few things about the car and where we're up to jobs-wise. Many of you will notice this lead coiled up. So this was one of the first cars built with a PI system data logger. Those of you that follow the channel closely remember the 93 car got fitted with a PI system data logger in 1993, kind of ahead of the Bathurst 1000, but this car was built brand new the year after in 94 with it. So it's got the chopper wheel on there for the wheel speed, so when the wheel turns it triggers the wheel speed sensor, which is just in there up the top, and then we'll untangle that, join it up with the brake lines and run it through into the cabin with all the other wiring and harness that does run from sort of the top corner above the steering and through the bulkhead. So basically under the suspension, the only job that's missing is the brake lines on the front. We've done the rear lines on this car, we just haven't done the front ones yet. Like to do that in conjunction with moving the steering and setting up all the bump steer and things like that. We've got the template of the brake lines from the 93 car, but it's always nice to quantify them with going lock to lock, just to make sure that there's not going to be any issues. So let's go and have a look at the steering rack. This is the steering rack, basically identical to the one in the 93 car. Kirby Bishop, originally made in Australia. This was sourced by the customer. It was an original Perkins Engineering unit, so it was basically ready to fit, which is what we've done. And then we just set up the tow arms, and we'll be doing all the bump steer and getting ready for a basic wheel alignment. And also, this being the Chevy engine, you might notice a few visual differences underneath, but principally a lot of the same hardware is used. Like the starter motor, for example, is a Delco Remy starter motor. We've had quite a few new old stock here, and that's been set up, meshed, ready to go. As is the clutch slave cylinder, which LP serviced for us, and it looks in great condition. And once we've set up the master cylinders, and that will be ready to bleed and ready to use. So it's one of the only things that's missing from underneath. Those again who follow the Perkins cars quite closely will know that this is where the master cylinders mount under the driver's seat, and they are sort of activated through a brake pull rod that pulls against the master cylinders, which is on the bench back here, ready to get fitted to the car. Back underneath now. We've been making some new oil lines for this car, keeping some of the original ones as well, and you'll notice the belt is missing off the pump. We've filled it up with Castrol Racing engine oil and manually primed up oil pressure, so it gives us a great opportunity to check for leaks, which we can confirm there's no leaks. So once all our other wiring work and things are done, this car will be ready to fire up, which is going to be an exciting development, and we're very much looking forward to that. A lot of people ask about the oil filter. That's where the oil filter mounts. So you'll notice the housing is up there, and it runs through the guard, and the filter hangs out there, so it's quite easy to change oil filters. Let's work our way back through the car. I've left a rag here, which I'll have to come back and get later. But you see the diff and gearbox coolers are plumbed in. So this is obviously the gearbox coolers. The lines run down along the side of the tail shaft. And that's a great shot of where the air intake for the gearbox cooler is. So it just sits below the floor line. And you see it gets mounted in for the endurance races, Sandown and Bathurst. Bit of rock protection here. And yeah, so for Sandown and Bathurst, obviously they need to get cable tied against the side of the tunnel, so they're not touching the tail shaft, which is what we do. Figure out where the cable tie blocks go and revert similar information from the other car, the 93 car, because those positions were all pretty similar. And then the two mufflers, which are combined on the same sort of bend, mount on here with a slip joint. This cradle mount system here, and then the cutout for the tailpipe runs out the side. Once that's in there, the exhaust system is complete. And then if we go back to the diff cooler, sits behind the rear wheel here. It gets a mesh covering over the front of that. There's the oil filter and the oil pump, which is the Holly Blue. And the filter for the gearbox sits up here in this nice little pocket up here. So that's kind of everything underneath the 1994 rocket. It's immaculate, and we're looking forward to kicking it into life and finishing it off. Yeah, quick look from the top. So our wiring, we just need to get our Canon plug from the ECU to the firewall, and then we can plumb the engine wiring in, get our headlights in, and all our wiring, we tidy that off up the front. We've got water in there now, so we're getting very close to being able to start it up, which is really exciting. And then a couple of wiring jobs to tidy off inside. We'll put some drink straw on the drink bottle, which is in the back here. But yeah, really happy with the way it's coming along. Sort of definitely on the home stretch, which is great. And then around the back, much of the same story. A couple of wiring jobs to tidy off. We've got 8 litres, clearly marked here, 8 litres of oil, engine oil in the oil tank. And then the next one will be fuel, and do our fuel pressure checks. Clutch and brake fluid as well, once our master cylinders and everything are in. And yeah, start ticking off more and more jobs in readiness for the startup. This car was the first car with a NACA duct here, so we'll put some NACA hose in and plug that, route that into where it was set up in the race to blow a bit more air on the driver. And yeah, it's exciting times here. Looking forward to finishing these jobs off. Last few jobs always seem to take forever, but it's rewarding once we fire it up. So stay tuned for future episodes, and we'll bring you a bit more information and detail on what we're up to.